right, my friends, what if I told you your next favorite card design only needs stamps, paper, and ink? Let's keep it sweet and simple. So today I'm going live to show you how to create 3 gorgeous cards featuring the Corner in Bloom stamp set. It's a floral outline set, and you can snag it for free during the Saleabration promotion with Stampin' Up all the way through the end of February. It is free, Corner in Bloom, with a $120 order, and it's a beautiful set. You'll notice the beautiful, elegant, floral corner images. So to make these cards extra special, I have paired it with another stamp set called With You in Mind. This is a $1 million stamp set. Look at these beautiful, beautiful fonts and greetings and the tiny icons that you can pair along with the cards. So, along with the greetings. So when I say it's a $1 million stamp set, that means this was created in honor of a Stampin' Up demonstrator who earned the $1 million sales designation. It's a very cool stamp set, lots of purposes that you can make cards for. Today's card making is at its simplest and best. It's the SIP way, which is stamps, paper, and ink. And guess what? When you place a $40 order with me this week, you'll get the card kit to make these beautiful cards for free. So double bonuses. You can earn the free stamp set and you can earn the free kit. So grab your favorite beverage and join me. Let's craft something beautiful together. Let's get started with the first card. So these cards feature, again, the beautiful Corner in Bloom stamp set. I'm going to be creating these right now, sharing with you my designs. These, again, are sweet and simple cards. Let's get started with card number 1. And let's see. Oops. As I said, this is stamps, paper, and ink. So my card base is going to be basic white, and this card opens a little bit differently, kind of like a book. So the bind is at the left, opens right up this way, which means it still is half a sheet of cardstock, but I scored it at 5.5. The orientation is going to be horizontal or landscape, and I'm just going to go ahead and fold my card base. So if you've had a look at the Saleabration catalog, you'll notice that there are 2 gifts available at the $120 level. One is a die and stamp set bundle called Heart-Shaped, and the second is this beautiful stamp set called Corner in Bloom. It's an 8-piece stamp set, perfect for coloring if you enjoy coloring, and that's just what we're doing today. So let's have a look here. My second piece of white. Now this one was thick white cardstock. This layer that we're going to stamp on is just basic white cardstock, not the thick card base style. And this measures 5.25 by 4 inches. It's the perfect size for layering on our cardstock. Now I'm looking around. I've noticed that there's a couple of pieces missing here. How did that happen, right? Let me grab those other things I'm going to need. I think I see them across the way. All right, so we are going to need a layer of Highland Heather, and it's going to be just 1/8 of an inch larger than the stamping layer. So I'm going to go ahead and cut that now. And I'm using my Stampin' Trimmer. I am going to be cutting. And again, this measures just 1/8 larger than the 5 1/4. So that would be 5 3/8. So 5 1/4, and then 2 ticks over is 3/8. And I'm going to use my cutting blade today. And then I'm going to rotate, and I need to make this layer 1/8 larger than the 4 inches. So 4 1/8, 2 ticks past the 4-inch mark. I know sometimes the eighths measurements are a little bit tricky. There we go. And that is our layer to mat our stamped image on. So if you're just joining me now, please go ahead and say hello. And please know, today we are going sweet and simple, the SIP way: stamps, ink, and paper. We are going back to the basics. So we have our matting layer, we have our stamping layer, we have our layer for our sentiment, which is going to be happy birthday, and then we have a matting layer for that as well. So we are using Corner and Bloom. We are going to stamp. I'm going to move these out of the way. And this corner that I'm using, it's the largest corner. The flowers kind of look like poppies. I'm giving them a different color than the poppy color. I'm going with a purple motif, and I'm even going to change up the colors from my example a little bit. So I'm using the largest corner. It is large. I have matted it on a block F. I don't even think this large block is available from Stampin' Up! Any longer, but it felt right for me. You have other options. Let's see. And because it's photopolymer, I'm going to go ahead and place it on a piercing mat so I get that nice cush. Again, this is a big stamp, and I'm stamping in, I'm showing you a craft white pad. Trust me, I'm not stamping in white. Let me get this. What I've done is created a tuxedo black pad using the white craft Stampin' pad. So these come uninked, the craft pads, and I inked it up with the tuxedo black Memento ink. I like the texture of this pad better than the texture from the tuxedo black Memento pad. So that's why it looks like I'm stamping in white. Trust me, I'm not. All right, this is a giant stamp. I'm going to say it's ginormous. So I'm going to put it flat on the table. I'm going to take my ink pad and stamp up to the stamp itself. So you can see how I'm tapping all the way around. I want to make sure and get ink in every corner. All right, then I'm going to turn that over, bring this in a little bit so I can see better overhead. And I'm going to go right up to the corner, right up to the edge on the top and left, stamp, and press down firmly. And it's a little bit difficult because I don't have the depth on the lower right. All the depth for the stamp is in the upper left corner. So you just have to be careful that the ink block itself isn't wobbly. So I'm going to do a nice firm impression and go ahead and lift up. All right, and we're going to repeat to make a rectangle. So again, I'm going to ink up, second inking to make that corner. These flowers are just so pretty and spring-like that I wanted to go with more spring coloring than just the traditional poppy colors. And then I'm going to come over and I'm going to take the edge. These two leaves are going to marry up to this little flower here. And then my top flower is going to come right in this space here to make the rectangle. And again, I'm going to do my best to go right up to the corners of the paper. We are making a rectangle with these corners in bloom. All right. Pressing firmly. There we go. So we've stamped, and I'm going to move this one out of the way while we stamp our sentiment. So I'm going to place that there. I'm going to bring in my sentiment. This basic white is 3 inches by 2 3/4. And my sentiment comes from, with you in mind, this one's the happy birthday. It's a nice, big, joyful sentiment. And again, I'm going to ink up in black. I have pre-mounted my stamp. This is block I. These are huge blocks needed. This is a very chunky, very generous stamp set. And I think it's perfect. It has the greetings that we need. All right, so happy birthday. Whoops, I've already got that inky. I'm going to flip that over. And I'm going to stamp right in the center, pressing firmly again. And when I stamp with black, especially these huge stamps, I want to be really careful that I don't get smudges on my fingers, on my hands. There we go. Happy birthday. So we're done with our stamping. I'm going to push that over there and close up my ink pad again. I'm going to take a little sip. This is morning stamping with me if you're watching me live. And don't forget to say hello if you are live today. So let's do our coloring. In fact, let's push our mat right underneath there. And I'm going to bring in my coloring layer. And I am coloring today with blends. So here's my color scheme. I'm going to flip it this way. And my pretty purple coloring is 2 colors. I'm going with my Highland Heather blends and my Fresh Freesia. And I'm just kind of mixing them up. You can see how close they are in colors, just ever so slightly different. And so I'm going to start with the light Highland Heather. So there's dark and here's light. And I'm going to start off with the biggest blooms that are in the corner. And I'm just going to bring with my brush tip and color this in. And so this is kind of like a relaxing technique if you like to color. The blends are super beautiful. They go on lightly, no dark color like you get with Stampin' Right markers. These are a little bit different. These are alcohol based, and these blends come 2 in a pack. They're combo packs with a light and a dark, and each blend has 2 tips, the brush tip and the narrow tip or bullet tip, and you can tell which one you need. There's the brush tip and there's the bullet tip. So different purposes. You need both tips, they come in handy. And I'm going to go to all corners with the purple. And then we're going to come in with one of the darker purples to add the shadows and the detailing. And I'm going to go with the detailing that's built right into the stamp. So I'm using my sample card. I am going to go a little bit different with the coloring. There we go. And this is something you just take your time with. It's very calming if you like to color. The other option with the coloring, the blends are a little bit more expensive of an investment. If you like to color, the best investment would be watercolor pencils. But these blends with the alcohol ink just glide on beautifully. And let's see. Again, the big blossoms are light Highland Heather. And I think Highland Heather is my favorite purple. I do love Gorgeous Grape. And sadly, there is no blend in Gorgeous Grape. There are a couple Stampin' Up colors that don't have blends, and I kind of miss them. The other one I'm thinking of is Garden Green. There's no Garden Green blend. So you have to be creative and kind of make your own color, which is the intent of the blends, hence the name, right? So what do you think of this color scheme? It looks nice and springy. If you're a purple lover, you will like this. Fun fun, soft, springy colors, I think. And I'm going to come in here. So all the colors, again, are Highland Heather with a little bit of shading that we're going to bring in just a second. There we go. And I've got another one here. I love going back to the basics of stamps, ink, and paper, or the sip technique. It is great because you don't need a die cutting machine. You don't need lots of extra layers. A little bit later, I am going to introduce a couple of cards that have pattern paper snips in the design. But essentially, it's just stamps, paper, and ink. Now I'm going to come in with a darker, and let's see, I'm going to go with the dark Fresh Freesia, and I'm going to use the bullet tip. And I'm going to come in and add just a little bit of shadowy bits right where it's built into the stamp set, so you can see the different tone. It just gives the detail on the flowers. So we start off with Highland Heather, and then I'm adding the detail with the dark Fresh Freesia. And again, I'm just using the stamped image to guide me. So you don't have to make a rectangle with the corners. Using just one corner instead of using the two inkings would also be a beautiful way to use this stamp set. So it's kind of unique in its design. All right, there we go. It reminds me of the days when I was, I don't know, elementary school age. I used to love to just color for hours, get those coloring books out and just go on and color with all, staying within the lines. Okay, I'm going to bring in light Fresh Freesia, and I'm going to add some color to the small buds right in here. So it's a little bit different. This has more pink in it, the Fresh Freesia. And I'm doing the buds in Fresh Freesia. We're going to bring in a little bit of highlighting as well. And just kind of going around. It's easy to leave out a blossom or a bud because there are so many. You're going to find it though once you step back and look at your card. There we go. There. Okay, let's bring in a little bit of blending here. So I'm going to bring in my light Highland Heather. Let's see how that works and if we get any detail in there. Just a tiny bit. Because these eventually will become those bigger blossoms. So we want a little bit of that color. And let's see. A little bit more in here. Oops. All right, let's come in. So we've done our purple. Let's do our pinks. And so I have a light pink version, and then I'm also going to come in with Flirty Flamingo. So we're going to do our highlighting with that as well. And some of the bigger blossoms, let's see, I think I might switch this up a little. I'm going to bring in with Petal Pink. Here's my little switch. So this has a very subtle tone to it. There. And I'm just doing a few of the light blossoms. So this was the dark Petal Pink. We're going to come in with some bolder color. And let's see, I think I want the dark Flirty Flamingo to add a little bit of punch to the blossoms right in here. And the brush tip again is what's going to get the job done. So there we go. And let's see, I'm going to do this as well. So every card will come out a little bit different, whether it's the same person creating or a different. Let's see, let's come around here. There is a tool called a color lifter. If you find that you go out of bounds, you can come in with the lifter and pull some of the color out. And I'm focusing on birthday cards. It seems like at the start of the new year, it's always nice to get your stash ready for birthday cards to have on hand as the celebrations approach. Try to get ahead of the game, right? Okay, so that's Flirty Flamingo. Now I'm going to bring in Dark Calypso Coral, and that's going to bring in my, I'm going to cover that up. Blends, it's since they are alcohol based, it's nice to cover them up when not in use so they don't dry out. And so you can see I'm just going to add a little bit of the shadow, just like I did with the Highland Heather in there. And if you find it's too much, you can come in and bring your lighter color again and kind of blend it in to lighten it up. You don't get the big contrast with the streaks there. So we'll do that. A couple of the same style of flower. And I'm not sure if these are poppies or what kind of little spring flower they are. Of course, you can color them however you want. You might even want to go with the color scheme of the person you're gifting the card to, whatever their favorite color is. There we go. And let's do the buds as well. And then these are going to come together when we color in the pretty leaves, all that foliage. There we go. Okay, so let's get started on our leaves. That's where we are so far. What do you think? I'm kind of liking this color scheme. I'm going to push those over and bring in my greens. I'm going with a dark, soft seafoam and light mossy meadow for the darker bits. So I'm going to start off with my lighter color, the brush tip, and that's going to be the base for all the leaves. So if you do want, oh, I found a bud that I did not color in. If you would like the kit that I'm creating today, place a $40 order this week using the host code, and I will send you the kit to make these cards. So you'll get all the cardstock and pattern paper pre-cut, pre-scored, ready for you to just sit down and craft. I can't stamp anything, so you will need either this stamp set or something similar. Sometimes you can make do with what you have in your own stash. Doesn't always have to be exact. If you do want to use the exact, then you can drop these in your order. So the Saleabration gifts you cannot purchase, they have to be earned. And this one is a $120 level. And so what I would recommend for your purchase would be the blends, the basic tools that you're going to need. Make sure you have your paper trimmer, your basic white cardstock, any colored cardstock. You need your basic black pad, so that would be tuxedo black, memento pad. And you might need some blocks. So it doesn't matter what you order, as well as to get your free card kit. Doesn't matter what you order. $40 order, kick it up to $120, and you can get this set. There are also many gifts available at the $60 level. So at $60, there are more stamp sets, paper, embellishments, even a card kit. So lots of choices. And by the way, although you can't drop Saleabration gifts into a starter kit. A starter kit is the best deal because you can get $125 in product of your choice for just $99 plus tax. You get free shipping and you get $125 in product. And during Saleabration, you get 2 options for extra gifts. You can either choose an additional $30 in product, so that would be $155 in product of your choice for just $99. Or there's this super cool option where you can get 2 marker families. So the Stampin' Write, not the blends, the Stampin' Write markers, 2 color families. You could get brights, regals, subtles, or neutrals, plus a stamp set. So that has a higher dollar value, but it all depends on what you need. So you make the choice. I would love to talk to you if you want to purchase that starter kit. There's no obligation. You don't have to actually build a business. You can just get a discount on the supplies you want, maybe gather orders from friends or extend your kit options. All right, there's our basics. We are going to come in with the Mossy Meadow, and we're going to add a little bit of shadowy bits again, just to give this more depth, as well as right here at the base of the flowers. And again, I'm just kind of going with the stamped image. And you can see the difference just on that. So bring that in. If you don't like that stark line, you can bring back in your light and blend it in a little bit so that you don't have that stark line. I like that effect. So it is kind of better to work in small patches as opposed to doing everything, because your ink will dry. And in order for it to blend, it needs to be a little bit wet. So this is the time when I guess we need to leave the cap off. Just throw caution to the wind and leave them uncapped, right? There we go. I think flowers are perfect for all kinds of birthdays, right? So flowers, also cakes, cupcakes, that sort of thing. Those are the forever icons for birthday cards. And again, I'm just bringing in a little bit of Mossy Meadow. And so this coloring takes a little bit longer than some of the stamped cards, but it's very soothing and it's very basic, sweet and simple. Just stamps ink and paper. And again, I'm just going to blend that in. And let's turn and just keep rotating. So already, and I say it's nice to have your stash, because if you're like me, I do have a list of my birthday celebrations, but I always get caught up with the people who have birthdays early in the month, because I have an ongoing calendar. I actually need to flip around the middle of the month and see who's coming up early in the upcoming month, because I can't wait till the start of the new month to flip. I'll miss out on those birthdays that happen on the first week of the month, because you need to get them in the post if you're mailing, of course. So those are the times it's great to have your cards on hand. All right, so just one more side here. And you're gonna see it's well worth the time and the pleasure of creating this pretty colored image. I love the coloring. I hope you do too. I hope you get some ideas of some color schemes. All right, let's see. Okay, I think we're done with the coloring. Let's have a look. I'll put it up close so you can see. I used every color that I had. So that was Fresh Freesia, Highland Heather, Petal Pink, Flirty Flamingo, Calypso Coral, and my greens are Soft Seafoam and Mossy Meadow. So there's my color scheme. What do you think? I kind of like it. Now I'm going to bring up the purple. So if you wanted to, I mean, you might be able to put it on the Soft Seafoam, or even the Mossy Meadow would bring out the color as well. And I think I'm going to snip that down just a tiny bit on one side. I want equal border all the way around. Or maybe, you know what? I think I made the mat the wrong side. Here, I had to. That one's better. Let's see. So the coloring layer is 5 1/4 by 4, and the matted layer is just 1/8 bigger. But this kind of has a little jagged edge to it. I'm going to put it on my paper trimmer, see if I can fix that. So a mini trimmer, it's just going to come up to the edge here and kind of balance that out a tiny, tiny bit. There we go. All right. That was just a smidge. Now this is going to go on flat adhesive. So for that, I'm going to use my favorite, liquid glue, which is just awesome. It's very forgiving. And you saw me take just the dried bits off there. It tends to kind of coagulate, so it builds a little bit of a block. And I'm just going to put a tiny line all the way around. I'm about 1/8 of an inch from the edge of the paper. And that's the key with the liquid glue. Don't go right up to the edge, because it will kind of flow out from behind and create a sticky mess. And you don't want to over apply the glue, because then you get that wet, kind of crumpled look to it. And just a tiny smidge of a border. Again, liquid glue is so forgiving. It lets you slide it over if you don't land in the right spot. Look what that did for it. I think it's just gorgeous. Okay, so now I'm going to mat that onto my card base. It's a basic white card base. And this Highland Heather layer is just 1/8 inch smaller than the card base. So I'm going to add my liquid glue. And again, we're just going to mat this straight onto the card base. I did cut this card base 4 1/4 by 11, and I scored it at 5 1/2. There we go. And you want to press down and burnish. So I'm going to bring in my bone folder and just glide that in, make the contact, make sure that that's on perfectly. So there's our card base. Let's go ahead and add our greeting, which is happy birthday. And I've got the Highland Heather mat for it, just 1/8 inch bigger than the greeting. This goes on flat. Goes right onto the mat. Tiny border all the way around. Now this layer is going to come up with dimensionals. So let's bring in basic standard size dimensionals. And I'm going to flip that over. So there's our stamps, ink, and paper project, sweet and simple. And it's a very colorful birthday card. Whoops, I had an extra. That's random. I had a little embellishment stuck on one of the dimensionals. And these are the standard size, a little bit bigger. We're going to put that right in the center where we created our border with that corner in bloom stamp. Right. All right, so there's our basic card. Let's add a little bit of sparkle though. My favorite basic embellishment is the rhinestones always. I'm going to bring these in and let's add a little bit of sparkle in here. So these are, I'm going to go with just the smaller size. And I'm going to use my take your pick tool to come in and pick that up underneath there. So we're going to go with happy birthday. Let's put one here. And then we're going to put one there. And let's put one down at the opposite end. Just in here. And there we go. There's our first Corner in Bloom card. Sweet and simple with just stamps, ink, and paper. So there's my first version. And basically what's different is the pinks that I used. It's a little bit different. I kind of like the second one. What do you think? So one or two? One or two. I think I have a little bit more pop in some of these bigger blossoms, but still two really pretty cards. I hope you like the first card in the kit. All right, there's a happy birthday card. I'm going to put that aside, and we're going to go on to card number 2, which is going to be a thank you card. So some people like purple, some people like yellow, right? So I love the yellow and black. And we're going to use a different corner image of the stamp set. We're going to go with that little daisy chain that makes a smaller rectangle, or you can get a square out of that, depending on how you stamp it. So we're going with the rectangle, and we're adding patterned paper behind this. So you could add just a layer of black. This one has a little bit of pattern to it, and this comes from an online exclusive paper. Let me grab that. So this is an online exclusive paper called Mixed Media Florals. Big, pretty, bold prints. So this is great for bordering. And of course, it always has the flip side. So we've got some watercolor. Looks like blueberry bushel. It's 12 by 12 paper. We've got lots of watercolor. Lots of color. And then a pretty green. Looks like shaded spruce to me. We've got like tulips and lilies going on here. Beautiful poppy parade prints. And I like this one. Nice basic stripe. And we're coming to the one I'm using. More florals. This does have a coordinating stamp set too. And then just the black and white, which is always handy. We've got another black and white, handy because you can add color if you want, any color you like. And then some beautiful calypso corals and peaches going on. And then finally, here's the sheet I'm using. This is the flip side of the black pattern, the black and white pattern. So I've just pulled a small layer of this pattern here, of the mixed florals. Remember, you're not going to find this paper in a catalog. It's an online exclusive, and that's why sometimes you miss seeing things. You can actually click when you're online. You can click to an online exclusive section. So I'm pairing this with Daffodil Delight, and we've got Daffodil Delight, white and black is our color scheme. So this one has a different orientation. It's a thank you card. You open it this way. And then we have our little strip of the pattern paper and those sweet little daisies. So sweet. And my favorite ribbon, the very vanilla and black check in a cute little bow. So this is standard card size. It's 5.5 by 8.5, scored right in the middle. And I'm gonna go ahead and fold and burnish so I can set it aside. Try not to lose it. Then we have our patterned layer. So this one measures 5 by 3 3/4, and it's got that nice black and white, very basic, simple color. This is going to go on flat as well, so it's kind of hurts to put this other pretty pattern on the underside, but I want that plain, simple black and white scheme going on. And we're going to flip that. It gets matted with equal border. It's going to be like, I don't know, 3/8 of an inch all the way around. So center that. And again, the liquid glue or Seal Plus, a flat adhesive as I call it. But I like the liquid glue because it's so forgiving. You can tweak just the tiniest bit. You have time. All right, so there's our card layer. Let's see, we're also going to go ahead and add a little strip of that pattern paper to the insert. And I'm doing this, you might have guessed, just so I don't lose it, because if I don't do something with it right, whoops, see, didn't mean to drop that. If I don't do something right with it right away, I'm going to lose it. And that drives me crazy when I'm hunting stuff down. So I'm going to add this, and I'm actually going to leave a little bit of white at the bottom. Leave a little bit. Don't push it right to the bottom. And I like to do this before I have glued it down, just in case I do need to tweak that. It's kind of falling off the edge just the tiniest bit. It's easier to do it before you layer it on. I am going to be stamping on this as well, so I'm going to set that aside. We're going to bring in our focal point basic white again. Remember, stamps, ink, and paper, sweet and simple. This is 3x4. And we are going to bring in that smaller daisy chain corner. Again, we're going to stamp in the tuxedo black. Let's see. Don't be deceived. It looks like the white pad, but I've inked it up with black. And I'm going to, again, do the same trick I did with the huge stamp. So flip the stamp upside down, put it flat on your worktop, and then pounce on ink, black ink. This stamp is kind of special, this little corner, because it could create a rectangle or it could create a square. So we're doing the rectangle, 3x4. And again, I'm going to come in just to the edges and stamp down and press firmly. And be careful because you don't have any depth on the upper right, so you don't want your block to rock because you might get smudges or shadow effects. So I'm doing that. All right. Now, if I wanted a square, I would come right in close and stack it that way. Instead, I'm going to line, so see how I have that flower above this flower? Instead, I'm going to bring it over and drop that daisy right in that spot right there. So square or rectangle. And I'm inking up again, second time. Going to bring that in. I'm going to drop that daisy down and join the upper left daisy there. And bring it down, being careful not to rock the block so that I don't get smudges. There we go. All right, we are going to be coloring that. I'm also going to stamp, hopefully I've got my other stamp, yes. 3 little single daisies on this insert layer. 3 or 4, let's see what we like. 1, 2, 3, and I see a little gap in there, so I'm going to bring in my 4th right there. I can close up my ink pad. And you know what? I'm also going to close up my liquid glue so it doesn't clog. And we're going to hop to our coloring. This color scheme, I'm using Old Olive and Daffodil Delight, easy. Oh, yikes. I thought I had, let's see. Well, I have 2, actually, 2 darks. We're going to bring in our Daffodil Delight. We're going to color in our daisies. This one's going to go a little bit faster because we're just using 2 colors. Whoops, that's why I have 2. I don't know if you can see that. That's one of the tips that has been just abused. And hopefully this is the new one. Yep, better tip. And we're just going to come in and we're going to fill in the yellow on our daisies. All these little petals. There we go. And just going to keep going Again, if you like to color, this is the stamp set for you, because you have the outline and you're just going to fill in your color with whatever color scheme you like. So if you have purple people, pink people, you know, reds, blues, whatever color scheme you want. Very easy to tailor. And this one, as I said, it goes faster. There's not going to be the shadowing like on that first card. Right there. And this one's a thank you, also a needed card. Birthdays, thank you. And these greetings come from that fun stamp set called With You in Mind. It is in the new mini catalog. And it's a standalone stamp set, so no dies coordinating with it. All right. And as I said, if you feel like you went outside the lines, you can always bring in your color lifter to pick up that color. Here we go. Almost done. One more, right? Then we're going to do our foliage. There's our little yellow daisies. Oh, we can bring in our insert and take care of that as well. And if you flip this card stock over, you're going to notice because they're alcohol markers, you do see residual on the underside. So keep that in mind. If you think you're going to color on a single layer, you do need to layer up so that you have backing on this so it doesn't show through on your project. And I'll show you what I mean as soon as I do this last little flower. There we go. So see how you can see that? You don't want that showing through on your card base. So this is why you want to color on a layer. All right. And I'm going to bring in my darks and my lights. This is Old Olive Light. And this is for all of our foliage. And you know what? I think I'm going to bring in my bullet tip. I'm a little bit worried about going out of bounds. It seems to be doing okay. Sometimes the brush tip is too wide. So I like this little simple color scheme too. Yellow, black, and a little hint of green. Makes it simple, not too complicated. I like the yellow daisies. Of course, daisies could be any color, right? You even see some that are rainbow color when you add ink to them and it brings up the color on the tips. So pink, blue. All right, that was quick, right? Oh, I see some little bits that need the bullet tip. So the little base, I forget what this part of the flower is called. I should remember from 4th grade science. I can't remember. All right, there. And I'm just checking to make sure I've got color everywhere. There we go. And we are going to stamp that with a nice big thank you. Let's see if I have my stamp handy. I do. And this goes directly into that rectangle center. Again, tuxedo black. So minimal ink colors. We need the black, and the color comes from the blends. So I'm inking up, tap, tap, tap. And I'm going to bring in my matte because I want to get as good impression as I can. And I want enough color to go down on that. So it goes right centered in there. A applying pressure, being careful that I don't pick up any ink other than where I want. Lifting, voila. Just like I wanted. I'm going to put this ink pad away. And we are going to mat this on Daffodil Delight. So if this is 3 by 4, this one is going to be 3 1/8 by 4 1/8. I just want a smidge of the Daffodil Delight to peek out. Goes flat adhered. Right through here. And you see, I always stay away from the very edge. I bring it in about 1/4 inch from the edge so that we don't get that oozing glue. And there we go. Now this layer gets added with dimensionals. Let's see if I can keep my area clean. Bring in my card base I created earlier. And we want dimensionals. Let's see where they are. They're hiding underneath my... if you're not losing stuff, you're not really crafting, right? Okay, so I'm going to add some nice full-size dimensionals here, and be generous. You don't want this flopping. You want to support it. Kind of sticky. All right. So 6 there. And one more. And this gets centered on our pattern paper. Equal border all the way around. All right. Now we're going to add a little bit of ribbon. You could stop there. You don't have to add the bow. I'm going to add it. Oh, before I do that, I'm going to add my insert. So the bow is optional if you want to add that gingham check, which I think is really cute, and it goes so well with daisies, so the little country effect. But again, optional. You don't have to add that because it is Stamps Ink Paper Day. There's no mention of ribbon, right? Stamps, ink, paper, and ribbon. There we go. And I'm going to do a small bow with the bunny ear loops. Let's see, some nice big floppy ears. Let's see how this comes out. It's supposed to be a perfect bow every time. Now just tweak it, right? So I like to twist it too. And then now I'm ready to cut. It's a little bit big. There. Let's trim that with the ribbon scissors. We will add that to the card front with glue dots. So adhesives for every purpose, dimensionals, liquid glue, and glue dots. Those are my 3 go-tos. Occasionally I'll toss in there Seal Plus, or adhesive sheets come in handy as well. So lots of options. It's gonna go right there. I don't know, do you like the bow? No bow? As I said, it's optional. You can do as you like with it. And we're gonna add the embellishments. I just can't not add the embellishments. Oh, wrong tool. I got the blender pen. We're gonna need that in a minute. All right. So let's do 2 down here. There's this little bit bigger one that's kind of random. So 2 down here. And let's bring one up in the corner, right up here. All right, there is our second card with the corner and bloom and the stamping with you in mind. There's our thank you card with the yellow and black motif. Let's keep going. We have one more card, one more sweet card, a thinking of you, right? So we're still using this with you in mind. We've done happy birthday, thank you, and we're doing thinking of you next. Another yellow card, so yellow kind of sunshiny. Here we go. That's thinking of you. Still, we're using the corner in bloom, although this is not a corner image. We're using this image right here, and they're so sweet. Those little petals are heart-shaped. I don't know what kind of flower that is, but it's pretty cute. So we're not even using all of the corners in this stamp set. Let's get cracking on this one, and I'll bring in the supplies we need. And again, you can see it stamps paper and ink. I'm going to bring in a basic white thick cardstock base. We have a scrap for stamping. We have a patterned paper that's a yellow gingham on the flip side, and I'll tell you what paper pack I got that from. And then I have my stamping basic white. We are going to be stamping our flowers there. This one measures 4 by 2.5, and I need another scrap for that of you. Let me share with you where this paper came from. This is the Floral Delight DSP. It's 12 by 12, so it's the bigger stack. And this one coordinates with the Wishing Suite, I think. I don't remember the name of the suite. There we go. Pretty yellow, big, very yellow patterns. A little geometric pattern there. More blossoms, branches. A little lighter yellow and white pattern. Yellow background, has a lot of color to it. A little more subtle, looks like a pecan pie, linen or tweed fabric. Really pretty background, looks like pool party with the yellows. And some little blossoms, leaves. Bigger blossoms there. These are, I think they were supposed to be forsythias. Then we've got this, looks like old olive pattern. And we have our gingham pattern that we're using. Pretty blossoms on the back. So that's where that pattern came from. And again, we're starting with standard card base, 8.5 by 5.5. I scored it at 4 1/4. I'm going to go ahead and layer up what I can. It's scored at 4 1/4, so standard card size. And then I'm going to layer up my gingham pattern paper, flat adhesive. And we have about 5/8 of an inch all the way around. So looks pretty even. You could measure, I just eyeball. There we go. All right, we're ready to stamp. And we're going to bring in that pretty flower. This one's going to be a little bit different. We are stamping in Daffodil Delight. And then we're going to add some color to the greenery on there. So here's how I did that. And I'm looking around. I need a chamois because I'm going to have to clean my stamp in between. Let me grab that. Alrighty, so I've got my chamois at the ready. I do need to stamp between my, clean between my stamping. And I also want a piece, let's see, I want my, trying to get myself set up here. Photopolymer stamp set. You're going to get better results if you put your mat underneath. I'm going to put my reference card there. And I want a piece of scrap under that. All right, and this just keeps your mat from getting inky. All right, so let's give this a go. Side by side here. I'm going to ink up in Daffodil Delight, which is the lighter color. And then I'm going to bring in my Stampin' Write marker, the brush tip, and I'm going to add a little bit of greenery to this foliage on the stamp, direct to the stamp. Now, a lot of times you will see this with the red rubber stamps. It works just as well with the photopolymer stamps. So I'm just adding the green here. We're going to fill it in as well. So these are outlines. We're going to outline stamp and then we're going to fill in some color. You'll see. So stamps, ink, and paper. And then I'm going to bring that in and stamp. All right, that's what you get. You can see it's outline stamped, and you can see why I wanted to protect my mat too. All right, then I'm going to clean this, only because I don't want to dip my stamp with green ink into the Daffodil Delight. That just makes it really messy, and it muddies up your ink colors. So here we go. Just adding the green foliage. And what I'm doing is huffing in between. Do you remember that trick? Huff between inking up and stamping down. This one goes a little bit lower. There. And clean the stamp. And then ink up. So we're going to do this about 4 times maybe. And add this again. Gives you more color this way. And it builds in that foliage in your inking. Again, a little bit higher. And I'm going to clean, ink up, and then add my detail using the brush tip. The brush tip's easier with the Stampin' Write marker. And this one's going to go a little bit lower, and I can see I want a little bit more there. I don't want that blank white space. I want to ink it all up. But I don't need to worry about the right side of the stamp, just on the left. And we're just going to bring in little tiny edge to it. There we go. Now, let's bring in, I'm going to cover up my green, close up my yellow, and I'm going to bring in my Garden Green ink pad. If you joined me from the beginning, I talked about the Stampin' Blends and the fact that there are a couple of colors that do not have a blend. So one of them is Garden Green. No blend to color in. So what I'm going to do instead, I'm going to borrow from the ink pad. So let's see, I'm going to bring in a blending pen. So these are dual tipped, doesn't matter which tip you use. And I'm just going to pick up a little bit of ink. So in this case, I'm just going to pick up the ink that's on the edge of the track there and color in, fill in. Now you might wonder, why don't I just use my Stampin' Write marker? The Stampin' Write marker will be too much ink, too stark. This one, it looks more like a watercolor effect because I'm not using a full ink. And you can see I went far with just the tiniest bit of ink on my blend. And these blends, if you don't have them in your stash, they come, I think, 3 to a packet. They last a very long time. You can use them on multiple colors. You just want to clean between inkings or between use. And I'm just flipping to grab color off the other side. Now you could do the press technique where you press the lid and the pad together. Or you could just, in this case, I just need the smallest amount. Now it looks like I've got a lot of green on there, which is fine. It's a little bit starker than I normally like, but it's kind of like how flowers grow. Not every green is the same in nature. Some of it's kind of faint, some of it's kind of stark. And let me get a little bit more color. There we go. I am going to do one other thing with the green marker before we're finished. All right, then to clean this, you just kind of rub off until you see clear. Put your cap on it, and you want to clean before you put your cap on it. So now it's ready for use next time with any color. Now we're going to use our blend, our Daffodil Delight light blend, and we're going to add color in here. How easy with the brush. These little petals, they remind me of hearts, the shape. Multiple hearts to build up one blossom. And you can see this part goes really easy. Unlike the outline black images, this we're just brushing the color right in there. So we've got like a field of tall blossoms. I want to say it reminds me like a hyacinth flower. I'm not sure. I don't know my flowers. And I think sometimes you could make these purplish, like a light lavender, maybe fresh freesia. I'm going with yellow. Today's yellow day. Lots of sunshine. All right. So again, this is Corners in Bloom, or Corner in Bloom. It is a Saleabration gift. It's like the level 2. With a $120 order, you can get this stamp set. And I was chatting with a friend, as we always analyze the catalog, and we're wondering, like, why is this stamp set a level 2? Why is it $120 as opposed to some of these other sets that are in the Saleabration, like Friendly Seagulls, that's only a $60 order requirement? Well, I think it's because of the number of stamps that you get in the stamp set and the size. I mean, these are big stamps. I started off with the one I call ginormous because it's huge. And so that's my thinking. I'm not sure if that's what the reasoning is. I think if you're placing a larger order, this is a good choice. You can do lots with these pretty blossoms. They're fun if you love to color. If you don't like to color, an option would be to stamp these and heat emboss them. So they would be quite striking, stamped in white on a dark color, or even gold on a dark color, depending on your celebration. There we go. All right, so we're not quite finished. I'm going to bring back in, as I said, my green marker. And we're going to add some specks. This is one of the techniques you can do with the markers. And I'm just going to bring this in and flick it. So we have some little flecks all around. And you can go heavy or you can go light. It just adds more color, like the breeze color there. All right, we're almost done. We're going to add our greeting. So, in fact, let's add this to the card base. We pre-matted our gingham. This is going to go on with dimensionals again. So let me grab some dimensionals. And it looks like I'm going to need a new sheet again. I go through so many dimensionals. And again, I want to make sure that this is supported, like so. Add this. All right. This gets centered in here. Look how pretty that looks, like a little painting matted with a border there. And this greeting is going to be thinking of you. So bring that in. I'm going to use my block, same block I used for my flowers. This is block H. Let me put this stamp away before it gets lost. Put that right back in the case. And we're stamping, with thinking of you. So let me grab that from with you in mind. And we're going to map that onto the same block. Ink up in Tuxedo Black. And I want to get that as dark as possible. So tap, tap, tap. And then we're going to ink it up onto a scrap, pressing down firmly. So nice big thinking of you sentiment. And if you saw my reference card, you're going to see that I did fussy cut that thinking so I could put it right over that field of flowers. And so you don't have to watch me fussy cut because it takes a little bit of time, but it's worth it. I'm going to bring in one that I pre-fussy cut. So I went, outlined the word thinking, and then I used the of you. It's on about a 1/4 inch strip, and I'm going to trim that down. Oops, almost used my ribbon scissors there. Don't want to do that. My tabletop's getting messy. All right, and I'm coming in kind of close. This will get matted. Let me move these things out of the way so you can see a little bit clearer. So this is going to get matted with mini dimensionals. Let me bring in minis. And let me start with the of you that's going to come in the lower right. And this gets placed right around there, lower right. And the thinking also goes with dimensionals. And what I did was put the minis in those bigger spots. Any place you have a little wider area. Let's see. And what I'm going to do is trim off on the border. I'm just going to make a tiny, it's like 1/8 of an inch strip. And we'll cut some pieces to put in the tall letters. And that should be good. So let's take some of these longer strips. So right behind the T, whoops, I dropped that. Right behind the T. Let's see, there's a K. That's pretty good. Let's see, I'm going to snip this one down a tiny bit. Get 2 out of that. I'm just looking for some of these areas where I can add support. And then over here. There we go. Okay, so you can see how I just tucked those behind the skinny areas with I started with the mini dimensionals. That makes it easier. And I do like to have all the dimensionals at hand. So there's standard size minis, and there's also black. And there are also strips. I don't use the strips as often unless I'm creating a shaker card. Then I will use that. But otherwise, I do like to have all of them available. And then this is going to be kind of at an angle, right across our field of blossoms. There we go. And let's go ahead and add some sparkle right up in here. I'm trying to get in underneath here. And then one more. Let's see. Make it heavier on the right. All right. So there's our third card with the corner in bloom. I'm going to share with you all the cards that were created. And thanks for sticking with me. If you joined me at the beginning, I did say it was going to be longer because today's a full class. We have Thinking of You. We have Thank You. And we have a happy birthday, different color scheme. Hello, Debbie Pence. Thank you for joining. I've got some cards created with just stamps, ink, and paper. I'm using the Corner in Bloom from Saleabration. Since that has no greetings, I pulled out a great set from the mini catalog called With You in Mind. It has these beautiful big sentiments for creating the card you need. The Corner in Bloom you can get for free during Saleabration with a $125 order. And the With You in Mind is a standalone stamp set from the mini. Great choice. If you'd like the card kit to create these cards with all the pre-cut cardstock and pattern paper and embellishments, because I did add bows and embellies. If you want, you don't have to, but you can get the kit as my gift with a $40 order. So you have choices. If you want to kick your order up to $60, you have a selection of Saleabration products you can pick from. Stamps, papers, embellishments, ribbon, even a kit. Or you can bump it up to $120 to get the Corner in Bloom stamp set, which is a great set to have on hand. All right, there's my 3 cards. I think it's a sweet set, sweet and simple. And yeah, just stamps, ink, and paper. It's the simplest and best way to make the cards. All right, thank you for joining me. If you came in late, you can skip over to YouTube. I'll put the video up so you can hop straight to the projects, as well as if you want to review and see what techniques I use. Thank you so much for joining me. Tomorrow I will be sharing in the online card club this month's cards, and I had 4 great cards, including a Valentine's card. So I hope you can join me tomorrow over in online card club. Have a great day. Thanks for joining.